April 10, 2024, 10 o'clock p.m. This is the last scheduled day and check-in for the water stress test that I originally intended to do. Around 1 o'clock, I changed out the bowl on the Coloplast Brava 12036. That's the old bowl there. I got the new one. I wanted to see if it got any larger. I did the measuring off camera when I had swapped them out at 1 o'clock. It measured at about 1 3/4. And when I measured it right before I started this video, it came in at 1 3/4. So I don't know, it may have reached its maximum potential. I am planning on doing something tomorrow where we pull them out and set them on a surface and kind of investigate and see, what happens when they come out of the water and they lose their buoyancy, what they look like, how well they stay together, etc., etc. So we'll be doing that tomorrow, unless I want to extend the time period for the water, but I think 7 days is probably sufficient. It's given us a pretty good idea of what we were initially looking for in this particular. My brain stopped working. I was going to say investigation, experiment. I guess it's a little bit of both. My brain really wanted to say experiment, though. Investigation, not experiment. Any doodle. We got this big guy here. That is the Coloplast Brava 12036. There it is with its original size. And try to get that centered in the screen a little bit better. Okay. It's considerably grown in size. The center hole is obviously growing a lot larger too. So that would definitely be something of concern to me. The edges still looking very smooth, very round, very, very nice altogether. If it weren't for the absolutely ridiculous amount of enlargement that has occurred with this ring expanding outward in diameter, I would say otherwise it held up really well. But that is a factor that we need to consider. Looking at that, the Coloplast Brava 120307. It's got that extra number that always wants to trip me up. There we are. Okay, so holding it upside down again. No, I'm not. It's just backwards on the screen because I have to flip it still. There we go. So we're looking pretty close to the original size. There has been some expansion, but not a whole lot. I think tomorrow we'll do measurements when we pull them out and get a better feel for what we're looking at. But as far as the stability of the product in the water, we're looking at smooth edges, nice and clean. The water completely see-through, just like the last one. There's no deterioration of the ring, just a slight enlargement. So I would say this one came through pretty well on the old test. Alright, I think next we're going to go with the Ekins Convatec. Strike that, reverse it. Convatec Ekins Cohesive 839005. I don't have a original sample to show, but I would say it's pretty darn close to where it started in both overall diameter and in the actual inside size. The internal hole of the ring itself looks to be roughly about the same as when we started with that. You can see there's definitely a lot of deterioration that has occurred with this thing. A lot of fall apart. You see the little trails down here. The water is on the soupier side. It's actually sticky at the bottom of the bowl. I guess that makes sense because all the pieces are falling off and attaching down there. But yeah, this one it's maintaining its size, but it's definitely, there's pieces falling off, there's pieces at the bottom, and I wouldn't say that as far as the water stress test portion is concerned, I wouldn't say that it held up all that well. The ostiform flow assist OFA-M will be next. So here, not significant change from earlier today. There is the original and there is the waterlogged version. I am looking at it sideways. That's why. Okay. There. I'm seeing some stress marks in here and in here where it looks like it could actually kind of come off or break apart. But speculation aside, looking at smooth edges, fairly clear water, no chunks of sediment that I can see in there, so I would say it's doing pretty darn doodly good. As far as, standing up to the water, unless we're going to count the enlargement, that could definitely be problematic if your wafer changes size after you've put it on your body. Alright, next we're going to look at the Hollister Adapt Ceraring 8805. This is the one I like to say looks like a galaxy. Ooh. Has an interesting goo that is in there. Here's the side-by-side comparison. You can see it's definitely enlarged and elongated for some reason, and I can see through it at this point. Like, I can see down to the bottom through the top. It's not holding up really well at all. Definitely a lot of frayed pieces just kind of coming off. The water's obviously been contaminated with whatever chemicals or pieces. Maybe they're micro pieces or something. Something's in there, and it's definitely no longer water. It would not be fair to call that water anymore. It's long since been that. And then the Hollister Adapt 7805. Same deal. I'm seeing a lot of whatever it is, if it's particulate or perhaps micro pieces of material floating in there. I'm inclined to think that maybe it's like chemical, like something leaching out of it. There is a side-by-side comparison of the two. Remarkably similar in shape and size to where it first started. The edges are a little bit on the poofy side, but compared to some of the other ones, I'd say it's held up pretty decent. And you can see a little bit like there where it's kind of breaking apart a little bit. And that center hole, again, is one of the main things that I think is a pretty important note, that the center hole has stayed pretty much the same size on this one. I would say these two did the best as far as maintaining that center hole. These two obviously did the worst, and these two were in the middle ground as far as not falling apart. These two take the cake for sure because the water is just clear. Yeah, they've blown up, sometimes comically enlarged in some cases, but the water's clear. I mean, it's pristine, like I just poured it. This one close second there, and then these three are all in last place for the water clarity portion of things. It's going to be a tough one. I think when we take them out of the water and look at them tomorrow, that's going to be a big indicator of overall what we're looking at, how it holds up. You know, it's one thing for it to be floating, it's suspended in water, you know, but once we take it out of the water, it doesn't have that buoyancy to rely on, and it's in gravity and it's being touched. Like, how will it hold up? How will it handle? And that is the big question. I decided to do the experiment tomorrow because A, I'm tired and I don't want to do it tonight. But B, more importantly, we started in the morning, so it would make sense to end in the morning as well. So I'm going to work out some sort of a system where we can pull these out individually, take a look, see how they hold up, examine them, and then I'll give them each a grade, and we'll go from there. In the end, though, it's up to you. You know, I'm just doing the stuff. You get to make up your own mind. I can just tell you what I see, and show you what I'm seeing. But in the end, you know, I'm not going to say you need to do this or you have to go get this. I'm just going to say these are the ones that did the best. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.